Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Yo, what's going on, travelers? It is Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we're back with you for another episode of the Success Journey Show. Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing?
Man, I ain't even talking to you, brother. I'm not talking to you. Yo, people, if you are listening to this audio, you have to go to the visual, right? So you remember what Ricky was doing with me with the office. He had the feng shui, he had the light in the background, he had everything, right? So I say, yo, I gotta get, if you look at my background right now, I got my little candle going, right? And I say, yo, I'm gonna get my thing. I went on the count of him, he allowed me to be great. If you're looking at it at the visual right now, you can see that my camera is clear. You can even see
fire. Camera is fire.
Fire, right? Ricky, I went on vacation, came home, it was there. I'll tell you what was on the box, probably the next show. Almost got divorced, but it's all right. So I change up my whole setup and I clean out my office. If you notice the boxes were here, I said, yo, I gotta be like Ricky. You know what I'm saying? Then this guy goes into and shows off his living room. He looked like the Garden of Eden with all these flowers behind him. I'm like, look at this dude, man. It's not there before I finally.
Oh man, no, guys, man. My office is under construction right now, man. I'm going to show it probably it'll be done. I'm trying to get it done before. I don't know when you guys are going to hear this, but we're trying to get it done before Thanksgiving. We'll have people over, and I had to have it done. So as we're recording this right now, my wife is in there finishing up some painting. We've been working on it for the past week and a half in the room. So I had to do the podcast. So I said, yo, I can't do it with her in the background painting. She was like, oh, go do it in the kitchen. So I was like, all right, yeah, let me go do it in the living room and kitchen. So yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why the background's changed.
The Garden of Eden. That's what I'm gonna call that place now. The Garden of Eden.
I'll be back. I'll be back to my old self.
Hey, and then when he goes into the office, I've seen the beginning stages. You know it's gonna be fire when you see the beginning stages and it's still under construction, and you're like, wow. Right?
Yeah.
So the finished product is gonna be crazy, and he's doing it all himself. So I'm gonna tell you, guys,
put some work in, man.
I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to do a revolve. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do something.
It's the first project in the house, man. Well, we did a couple of different things in the house, but this is the first big one that we're doing. So I was scared during the whole time because it's a new house and you actually cutting into the wall. I'm like, yo, dude, it's a new wall. This is new trim. I can't mess this up, man. This is all new stuff, man. So yeah. I'm excited to go and see how much my wife has done once we get off this call, man, because we're trying to get it all done tonight. But he's doing that, sitting in one of my hoodies over there, the journey wear.
Let me get it. And what's funny, the first one that's on the top is actually the blue one. So I've been holding out on Ricky, right? So we got some new apparel. We got these suits. I'm gonna stand up a little bit so you can see, journey wear. And yes, I said, Rick, we're gonna try these out. Anything we have first, we try them out, wash them, and do all the, do a QC, quality control test on it, and to make sure that we can put it out to the public. So we got a few track suits, and it's gonna be coming to you guys soon. But I met with Ricky probably about 2 times since I had these.
Had him. Yeah. Every time I forgot about it. I was like, oh, all right, man. It's all right, man. You I should have gave them to you. All right, yeah.
He went on a nice trip this weekend too, and he could have had
could have had them, But
what
it's all good, man. I got the old stuff, I just show them the old stuff. So, but yeah, guys, man, we're so happy to be with you guys another week, man. We have a great guest for you today. I'll have Marlon introduce him, but before he does, I just want to remind you that hey, we're here, man. We're loving life, man. I mean. And I say loving life, I'm not saying everything is going perfect, what I'm saying is that, our perspective is, we're just kind of give everything, all we have to this life that we have, man. We're, trying to be great husbands, great men, great fathers. And that comes with its challenges, trying to be a great husband, every day, it's a lot of work, a lot of stress and strain. It's a lot of work, man. To all the women out there, man, hug your husband, man, and tell him you love him. You know, right now, you're a woman listening to this, hug your husband, tell him you love him. But you know, it's just good, man. We're moving into, you know, the end of this year. You guys may hear this at the end of this year, early next year, man. We've been putting in the work in on a lot of interviews and stuff. So, and just seeing the fruit of our labor, you know, really coming to fruition, man. And it's just a blessing. And the fruit is a lot of people just sharing and testifying, saying, "Hey, we really appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep doing it. It's encouraging to me. It's inspiring me." So, you know, and that's what we're doing. And I remember me and Marlon, we had a singing group, and our name was, we had a couple of names. One name was Umoja. Remember that? We were going by Umoja.
Yes,
that was short lived. We didn't stay there long because we found out another group had the name. Then we had a name Touched. Remember that?
Yes, touched. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the whole idea was, you know, if one is touched by the things that we do, if one is touched by the words that we're singing, you know, then we're satisfied. You know, and I believe that's an old Brian McKnight song. It's that's what we do, and that's what this podcast is about. You know, we got a solid team working with us now, man. You know, I mean, it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. It's building out. It is building out. For those our real estate, you know, is going well. By the time you hear this, man, we're very far along in our first investment property that we have. We'll be sharing some clips. Go to our YouTube or our Facebook, Instagram. You see some progress on that. All about just touching, you know, the community, you know, and making it a better place for those that are there. So I'm going to stop rambling because we got a great guest. We want to get to him. So check us out on the successjourneyshow.com, where you'll find all of our materials, previous podcasts, all of our books, our clothing, and things of that nature. And I'll let Marlon go ahead and introduce our guest.
Hey, like we say, travelers, this is the best portion of our show is when we get to have on our guests. And today we have a very special guest. We met this gentleman, and we were truly impressed with him. We went down to Josh Norman's yearly celebrity basketball game, and there was somebody that was running the whole show. And I was like, man, who is this dude that they keep on saying every time? Like I asked Josh, hey, can I get an interview with you? He said, yo, talk to Tony. And I was like, man, this Tony dude is important. So we definitely had to talk to Tony. And today we have on Tony. Tony, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good, man. Good to hear your voice.
Yes, sir.
Likewise,
yes, sir.
man.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Hey, for the people out there, if you're watching this and you don't see Tony, he said to tell me to tell you that he's in a remote place. Don't be scared. And he's doing some good and great things. So he can't be on the camera right now. Hey, Tony, go ahead and tell us a little bit of our travelers about yourself. That's what we call our artists. We call them travelers because everybody's on a journey. Go ahead and tell us about yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. My name is Tony, and people always say, can you spell your last name for me? My last name is Orr, and it's Orr. I'm one of the vice presidents for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Our national headquarters is based in Midtown, Atlanta, and I've been with the organization now 17 years. Born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. Grew up, ironically, at that time, I grew up in a single parent household. My grandmother raised me, and she worked 2 jobs and needed a place for me to go after school. And I ended up actually going at that time was the boys club. And that's where I learned a lot of fundamentals about life and just how to make it, man. And ironically, now I'm working for the organization that ultimately saved my life. So I couldn't think of anything more to do and to pay back my debt to an organization that saved me.
Man. Wow. Love it. He said Charlotte, man. Yeah, that's my mother's roots are in Charlotte, man. I got a lot of family down in that way. And I believe that's where we first met Tony, down in Charlotte a couple of years back before all this coronavirus stuff. So, man, it's definitely good to have you on here. And you did say Charlotte, right? Just to make sure I
Yes,
heard
sir.
you right.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I could have been going on. You're like, man, what's this guy talking about Charlotte? I ain't about Charlotte.
And I'm just glad because I know you guys are based in the DC, Virginia area, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep.
I'm just glad that you guys didn't throw any low blows about the Washington Redskins beating us yesterday. So I appreciate
Hey, we rooting for Cam, so we kind of give y'all a pass, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
Oh man. So yeah, man, tell us a little bit about. Let's take it from the beginning, man. Like, you said that Boys and Girls Club. Like that young boy went over there just to find an outlet, something to do. Tell us about your upbringing. Tell us about this environment and some of the lessons learned that you from that Boys and Girls Club that you kind of carried on into your young adult years and then to your adult life.
Sure. Yeah. So my mom was 16 when she actually got pregnant with me, and being a young child herself, my grandmother still wanted her to pursue life and have an opportunity. So my grandparents took me in and pretty much raised me through high school. And my grandmother, to this day is still probably my best friend in the world because she was there for me in a part of my life where no one else was there. And she worked 2 jobs from the age when I was 5 all the way until I graduated from college. So she worked the morning shift at the elementary school that I attended. And then she worked at the hospital at night. So she would work at the school from 7 to 2 o'clock, go home, fix dinner, and then go to her second job at 3:30 and work till 11 o'clock at night. She did that, pretty much my childhood, man. And growing up, once I got in elementary school, I was one of those kids that was probably trouble, because I didn't really have a father figure at home. I didn't have a relationship with my dad, and probably just had a lot of anger and disappointment built up inside, man. So never forget, man. I was in the 5th grade, just got in trouble in school, and the resource officer said to me, he said, Tony, the path that you're going down, by the time you're 18, you either be dead or in jail. And that kind of hit me, man, because I didn't look at it that way. And once my grandmother heard that comment, she said, look, I'm doing the best I can. I heard of this place called the Boys Club. It was literally 1 block from for where we lived at the time. And man, went to the Boys and Girls Clubs. And the very first day, the club counselor or club director, what they call him now, his name was Mr. Roosevelt. He was about 6'5", 215 pounds, and wore this ugly Pittsburgh Steelers hat. I remember it like yesterday. And to fast forward it, man, Mr. Roosevelt still works at that Boys and Girls Club 40-some years later.
Wow.
And going to the club, he was the first person in my life that was a male that told me he loved me. And that's where I started to build confidence in just who I was. And I got involved in sports, and once I got into middle school, I was playing at the Boys and Girls Club, but then started playing school ball, AAU, and then started making really good grades. And then really, man, it's just once I got to high school, I was the first person in my family to ever get a scholarship to go to college. So
wow.
Yeah, so that changed my life, being able, and I got a scholarship offer. I got a couple of Division I scholarship offers, but the club really changed my life, man, because I could go to the club and find caring adult people every day, consistent people. It was structured. It was safe. They provided meals, and I had experiences on field trips, making new friends that I could have had that experience anywhere else outside of school. And, lessons learned, man, was, always treat people like you want to be treated. Always show respect for people, especially adults. Character, integrity, teamwork, sportsmanship. I would say those were the 4 things that really stuck with me as I kind of got older in life. And I'm, I kind of made that vow to myself, once I left Charlotte to go to college, I said, look, Grandma, I'll never come back. You've raised me. I'll do the right thing, man, and going to college, graduating, playing overseas, playing in college. You know, a friend of mine who was working at the Boys and Girls Club just wanted me to volunteer one day. And I volunteered and I volunteered in 1999. I volunteered and I ended up volunteering, started mentoring, left playing overseas to start working at the Boys and Girls Club for $8 an hour. I was full-time making $8 an hour. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Wow. Hey, can we ask about that sacrifice? Because a lot of people, when they hear overseas, and I'm figuring you played basketball, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of times when people hear, the overseas wasn't a big thing, but there's guys overseas that was making money that you can even pay them to come back to the States to play in the NBA because they're making so much money overseas. And talk about that sacrifice and what drove that sacrifice. I understood that the Boys and Girls Club saved your life, but when it comes to a monetary thing, what was it that drove you to say, hey, I want to leave what I have here overseas and come back and start that $8 an hour to work, come in every day and work for that $8 and something an hour?
Yeah, when I got once I got a scholarship and I actually went to I started out at Mankato State, which is about an hour or so from Minneapolis. But man, once I left Charlotte and they basically took a kid from the inner city, and I went to a predominantly Black high school. So when I go on my recruitment visit to Minnesota, it's diversity like I've never seen before. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a different, it's the Midwest. So it's totally different than being in, deep South. And, but man, I made friends there right away. And I just didn't want to go back to Charlotte and struggle like the way I've seen everybody in my family struggle. I did, my dad, didn't graduate from high school, didn't, really had no plan. My mom kind of piddled from job to job, really no plan, and so I just didn't want to be another statistic of someone that said, hey, look at me. I'm working here at the local grocery store. I wanted more for my life. And my grandmother kept instilling those, certain things, man. And really, to your point about overseas, the thing about overseas that was so beautiful was that, I played in Romania, the Philippines, Montego Bay, Jamaica, but it was all tax-free. And so I had played 5 years, and I probably had made a smart decision. I made enough money to put it into a Roth account to when I get 50, I can get it out. But I had, I promised my grandmother, I said, I'll do everything I can to make sure you never work again. And and what happened was that it was in the all season, and I went home for Easter, and I went to church with my grandmother. We're sitting in church or whatever, and at the very end of a service, they offer people to join the church, offer people opportunity to recommit their lives, man. And and my grandmother said, if something ever was to happen to you, would you, are you saved? Are you sure? And I said no. And then once I got saved, the very next day, man, my whole life changed. My whole perspective about trying to make money, playing basketball, doing something I love. The love for the game went away. And it went away. And I just realized at that point that it's not about me anymore, man. I was just obedient to whatever God had in store. And, me volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, for those couple of days or those couple of weeks that I was doing it, I didn't think about the impact that I had on those kids at that time because I was hands-on. But there was this kid by the name of Cameron Samuel. He was in a gang, 11th grade, pretty much all Fs. And we clicked very well. And by the time he got into his senior year, he made all A's, ended up going to Stanford, graduated. Now he works for a company called Kellogg, very successful. And it was one day that I was, before I started actually working there, he told me he loved me. And man, that hit me. And I said, man, if I can change one kid's life like this, imagine what I can do if I was here full time. And to give up money, to give up traveling the world, to barely making ends meet or just having enough to make ends meet for about 2-3 years, man, that was a very humbling experience for me.
Man, I can imagine, dude. Man, man, you're saying so much as you're just going through your story. And, one thing that stood out to me was just the affirmation, right? So you said, hey, that gentleman, a 6'5", 215 guy, telling you, hey, the way they're letting you know, hey, the route you're going, either you're going to end up dead or in jail. And them turning around and, just really just pouring into you and, just really affirming you and saying, I love you. And you just talk about the trajectory that you took from there, just taking off and just, trying to heading in a more positive way and more positive outlook on life. And the thing that really resonated with me on that aspect of it was just the ability for a man to affirm another man, and man, I have it with my little boys and I see them, and it's like the things they do, of course, they're going to be boys, right? But, not having a man there to really affirm them, I can see where they can cause a void, right? And I just love hearing like, I got that affirmation, another man for the first time telling me that they love me, and just what that did for me in my trajectory. And then now you're saying this on the back end, a kid telling you, oh man, I love you, based off of what you poured into them. And It's just like a full circle, so it's just beautiful to hear this. And you turned the profits into passion, right? You out there going out and playing. And Travelers, I'm purposely just recapping, just pulling a couple things out of Tony's story because it is so powerful. I don't know how many people will give up a life on the road and traveling and being in the limelight and, just making money to go work for $8 and something cents, and this is 99. So that was considered, okay, that was okay. In 99, right?
Because probably $5.75 was the actual going rate for minimum wage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's oh, man. And, I look back at it. I look back now and I think about it cost my grandmother $5 for me to go to the Boys and Girls Club. But $5 literally changed my entire life.
Yes, sir.
Just $5. And it just, sometimes, man, it gives me goosebumps because even now when we haven't been in the office in 2 years because of the pandemic, but there are times when I'm in, when I go to our Atlanta office, man, I still get goosebumps just walking into the office, man, because it's a surreal feeling, just to be a part of it, man. I still feel like I'm a kid at heart, so it's so I think it's so organic for me to connect with people that want to be involved and make a difference.
And what's funny is we saw it. Ricky and I were, I can tell you that I resonate. A lot of your story resonate with me. I'm originally from Jamaica, and you said you played basketball in Montego Bay. So right there.
Best jerk chicken in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Montego Bay has it. I'm not gonna lie. Montego Bay does have the best jerk chicken in the world. So that, and also I was raised by my grandmother.
Okay.
So I have my dad, just same thing. Once I was 14 months old, my mother actually gave me to my dad. And then my dad gave me to my grandmother. Then we came up to the States or whatever. So I was always living with my grandmother, kind of had no male figure. Same stories. Hey, the way you're going, you're going to go to jail. That kid is such a bad kid. You know what I'm saying? So it resonated with me. And what we noticed, because Rick and I are very keen on looking at stuff like that, what we noticed is when we went down to that celebrity basketball game, it wasn't centered around the celebrities. Those kids that were there really enjoyed, and you gave them that full experience. Just this is because Cam was there, T.O. was there. I'm doing this so the audience could understand the caliber of people that were there. Josh Norman was there. There was a plethora of people, but that wasn't the focus. The focus was those kids. Now, talk to us about just what how did that come about, that game, the celebrity basketball game, and how did you and Josh orchestrate this whole thing?
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You can check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, so I met Josh Norman through Cam Newton. So Cam had a dinner one night, and Josh was at the dinner. Now I only had seen Josh on TV, and honestly, when he was playing for the Panthers, that's when I've obviously heard of Josh, and being from Charlotte, being a Carolina fan, But we met each other at this dinner, man, and just briefly talked, and I'm talking about Cam probably had the who's who there. I mean, Michael Strahan was there. It was a nice dinner, man. And so, in talking to Josh, he was like, "Look, I'm from Greenwood, South Carolina. One of my biggest dreams has always been to open up my own youth center in Greenwood." And I said, "Well, I work for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. There's no Boys and Girls Club in Greenwood, so maybe we can figure out a way to partner together and to bring your dream to life, and for me to give kids in Greenwood the opportunity to have a Boys and Girls Club." So we kind of pitted on the idea for about 3 to 4 months. And Josh and I kept talking to each other, man. And then eventually, he said, "Tony, I got a vision for this team center. Josh, I got a vision of what we can do." And man, long story short, man, it took us 2 years, but we went to Greenwood, drove around. We found the first African-American high school in Greenwood that had closed down.
Wow.
We orchestrated the deal with the county in Greenwood. They gave us the facility for $1 a year for 100 years. So,
my God.
So we got basically a whole school, everything that we could ever imagine, all the square footage for $1 a year for 100 years.
Oh my goodness.
So then, yeah. So then we say, hey, the county agreed to take care of all the maintenance and utilities for the building. Well, that's a huge thing, because now we got this high school that needs renovation. The county's going to take care of the utilities and the maintenance, and they're giving us the lease for $1 a year. And so Josh agreed to put the money up to do all the renovations for the school. Well, for the Boys and Girls Club. So it's called the Josh Norman Teen Center. It's in Greenwood, South Carolina. But and it's beautiful. It's about 500-600 kids that go there a day. They don't pay any money to go there. And obviously, they have paid qualified staff that work there every day. But in the midst of us building this building, Josh was already doing an annual celebrity basketball game every year. Okay. So we kind of said, hey, Josh, he was doing it in Greenwood. And the facility was so small that it would always sell out, and there'd just be this long line of people outside waiting to get in. So I went to him one day and I said, Josh, how about we do this game in Charlotte? And how about we give the community of Greenwood an experience that they just couldn't get anywhere else? He was like what? I said, well, the kids that want to go and the families want to go, how about we bring them in on charter buses and bring them to the celebrity basketball game? Well, he was all over it. And so the kids, a portion of the kids, not all of them, probably about 150 kids that we brought all on the charter buses from Greenwood. We paid for their lunch. So they had lunch on the bus. It was mandatory for the kid to go. They had to be with a chaperone, whether it was mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whatever. We wanted that adult-kid relationship interaction. So we brought probably 150, 200 people up from Greenwood. And then we opened it up, obviously, to the community in Charlotte. And so, the game was a success, great turnout. But the kids, we didn't do it in public, but we made sure that those kids had a chance to meet all those celebrities there, get pictures, get photographs. Because at the end of the day, those kids may not never have the opportunity to be that close to people that they see on TV.
Correct.
And as we recruited the celebrities for the basketball game, one of the things I put up out front was, listen, we need you to come and be available to the kids. Talk to them.
I saw that.
Interact with them. And every celebrity that we had, man, and again, not in front of the cameras, but they did that. They talked to them, they made themselves present, and I think that's the beauty of a Boys and Girls Club relationship, is that we give kids opportunities where they probably would never have, and so and we're working on this year's game, and talking about where, obviously Josh San Francisco right now, but we're looking, doing this game again in the spring, and it's been 2 years because of COVID.
Yeah,
but that's the type of experiences that we want to continue to have.
Oh man,
hey,
love it.
I want to ask. This is going to be a question, and I don't know if you can, because of Josh's relationship with the NFL and anything like that. Not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, him being in the NFL, that's the organization he works for. Why do you think those kind of things are not publicized? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that on a small level. Why are those things not the things that people are seeing? I'm not just talking from a celebrity standpoint. I'm just talking from people doing good for other people. What do you think? I have my own feelings, but what do you think those things are not shown? Especially when you have a set of black guys that's saying, "Hey, somebody save me. I'm trying to save these kids too." What do you think that is?
Man, that's a great question. There are a lot of initial thoughts. I mean, I think that it's not quote unquote popular to the people. It's not that first catching story. I mean, if you watch any local news, I don't care where you're at in the country, you watch the news for the first 10 minutes, it's all about shooting, murders. It's all about the negativity things. Yep, and then you feel good stories at the very end. I think it's a missed opportunity, because there are a lot of people who do a lot of great things for kids. I mean, this past Sunday when everybody on the bottom of the screen, like on ESPN and in Charlotte, they talked about Cam donating 50 tickets to the Panthers game. But see, what they didn't capture was that all the 50 tickets went to kids. And the criteria was the kids could have never been to a Panthers game before, because he wanted them to have their first experience. And that's the missing link to the story. Not about the 50 tickets, it's about the experience.
Correct.
And I think, man, as a society, it gets overlooked. There are a lot of athletes who do a lot of good, in their communities or where they come from. And we just got to do a better job of continuing to get those stories out. But, you think about, some of the guys that we had at that game that you was referring to, man, they're so humble that they don't want to make it about them, or make it about what
yeah.
They just do it,
Correct. Man. Go ahead, Rick.
Nah, man, I love it, man. It's just hearing this. So, like, talk about the pandemic. I know this. What you do is all about impact, and tell us how that kind of, I know we're all kind of tired of talking about the pandemic now, but in reality, we're still in it. So at least you got to show how it impacts us a little bit. And but over the last couple of years, how were you able to continue working with the students, the young kids in the community centers, or virtually, or whatever it was? How did that work out for you guys?
Well, I mean, being with this organization as long as I've been with Boys and Girls Clubs, to go through a pandemic, I mean, we've never seen nothing like this before. And even though my job at the national office primarily is to raise money and raise awareness for what we do in the services, there is the human side of me that also cares about what happens in those local Boys and Girls Clubs. And for a good portion of 2019, a lot of those clubs were closed down, and those kids didn't have a place to go, or they reduced the services to where, let's just say a club could serve 150 kids a day, where they reduced that to 50 kids because of staff ratio and all those things. That was really hard on us. But I'll tell you one thing that came out of it, I think in most communities where we have Boys and Girls Clubs, that our partnerships with the school system was really strengthened and benefited, because we were able, most Boys and Girls Clubs, what they were doing was, everything was virtual. So if kids didn't have technology at home, and most Boys and Girls Clubs open up 8 hours a day and allow club members to come in to use the technology in order to be in compliance with the schools. So that really strengthened our partnerships, and then of a lot of our national partners like Disney, Comcast, Cox Communications. They poured out more resources financially and technology so that we can accommodate more kids to make sure that they had access to be successful. Because let's just face it, a lot of the kids that we serve don't have access to technology at home. They don't have laptops or desktop computers like mom and dad.
Correct.
They have it. We had to change how we did our services. And during the pandemic, we basically created an app that if you as a member of Boys and Girls Club, you can get this app and still do programming virtually at your local Boys and Girls. That worked out pretty well, So, but we're all the clubs are back open now and doing well given the circumstances. I mean, we've had clubs that actually open their doors to be a site where people can come and get vaccinated. They open the doors so even if you wasn't a member, if you needed food or certain kind of services, that the clubs were there. So, I think the clubs showed most communities that they were there to be a partner.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it.
You know what, Tony, man, it's funny. People don't understand. And I'm going to be candid. Tony and I was trying to get Tony on the show for a little while, and because of schedule conflicts and stuff like that, we weren't able to do it. And I'm happy that we weren't able to do it and we're able to do it now, because like, if you believe in God, we believe in God. Everything works in God's timing.
Absolutely.
And the funniest thing is that guys like, and I'm coming back to it again, and I don't care if somebody's saying I'm beating a dead horse. Guys like you are not highlighted, and I know you do it. You don't do it for the glory, and that's what I love about it. But just like how you saw a positive role model in that 6'5", 250-pound guy that said, I loved you, and that changed the trajectory of your life. I think if a lot of kids, even if they can't make it to a Boys and Girls Club, but they see that there are actually guys out here, and I'll be just honest and say it, Black guys out here that are doing positive things and trying to impact the community in a positive way, because it is preached that we don't want better for our community.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not seeing guys like you in the forefront saying, this is what's going on. And we understand that you're a humble guy by nature, so you don't want to be in the forefront. But I'm glad that we got you on the show, and people are going to hear this episode and say, wow, this guy really went from somebody that their mother was 16 when they had him. He went to his grandmother. He was playing ball. He went to D1 first for his family to make it into a college. Went overseas, could have made a lot more money, but chose to come back and as a positive role model for this thing. I'm just so impressed of all that you're going and you're talking about. And I don't know if you watch Nori's show, right? Drink Champ.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to talk about giving flowers while people are alive. And I don't want to be at your eulogy. I don't know if I'm going to get invited, but I don't want to be at your, and I'm not praying death on you, but I don't want to hear that somebody was like, man, he was a good guy then. Now I'm telling you now, thank you for what you're doing. And I know you probably don't hear it enough, or people tell you enough, because I know these kids will, but I want to tell you, and Ricky wants to tell you, I think I could speak for Ricky on this, that we just want to say thank you for what you do, because there are kids out here that's being changed positively because of what you're doing and the seeds that you're sowing. So if you don't hear it enough, I want to tell you from the Success Journey Show, from Marlon, from Ricky, thank you a lot for what you're doing. I don't have a question, man. I just had to say that. And I'm glad that we have this platform that we're able to actually bring guys out like you. So what's in the future for Tony, man? Tell us some of your future plans. But I know you got some big ones. I don't know, but I know you do.
You know what? Listen, man. First of all, I just thank you guys for having me on. I know that we have been talking about this for some time, and again, I do apologize. I couldn't be on camera, but the platform that you guys have and sharing that and getting people's story out there, I mean, that's going to change communities. It's going to change the way people view us as a society and as a race. But it is always the elephant in the room. When you go to a board setting and other settings, man, it is, when you're the only African American, sometimes, it reminds you of how much more we have to go. And and I do think as men, we own a stake in this, that we've got to step up and do more.
Right.
And however people want to address that or not address it, it's a known fact. There's a old saying that to whom much is given, much is required. And that's how I try to live my life. And I try not to see color. I try to have a pure heart and help anyone, any kids, because I know my calling is helping kids. That I know.
Yes.
But, when I think about what's next or what's down the line, I don't know, man. Yeah, a lot of opportunities are, out there for me, and I just want to feel like I'm fulfilling coming home every day and loving what I do. And I've been so blessed to be a part of an organization to where every day, good or bad, I can see the difference. I can feel the difference. And no matter what I do in life, whatever's next, in this chapter, I just want to have that commitment that I want to see it. I want to feel it. And I want to know that I'm doing my part as a human being. And when you see all these protests and you see all the things that are going on, in different parts of the country, man, it just makes you feel like you got to do more. Because it's a lot going on, and the platform that I've had to work with athletes, actors, entertainers, I'm going to use that to save kids' lives, and that's been kind of my claim to fame, and that's the doors that God has opened, and I want to connect those people with with Boys and Girls Clubs, if it aligns. But again, they have to also be living the lifestyle that aligns with that we want to show kids. Kids see people on TV and they think they want to be that, but they don't realize the people that they really want to be are the ones who are signing the checks for those people. You know what I mean? And
yes, sir.
So
yeah, man. Go ahead, Rick.
I was great. I was great to go to the famous closing question. So go ahead. You going to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. I like that you took that executive approach, and I like the fact that I'm gonna say this. I like the fact that you say you don't see color in terms of when it comes to in helping, because you can, just like how there's a negative stigma, you can change somebody that thinks or listens to that stereotype. And now they're saying, man, there's this guy that came in my home and he helped our family despite what should be what's going on in society and what orientation. And you just by doing that and going in and having a pure heart, you're changing not only the life of that kid, but some of the stigmas or the stereotype that other people have on, and now they're seeing you in a different light, or us in a different light. So thank you for that. Thank you for pointing that out. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, Tony. We have this question, man, that we ask all of our guests towards the end of the podcast, and the question is, and we, based off of your story, we try to go back to a time and say, what would Tony say to himself at this particular time back in the past. So I'm going to bring it back to, after you met the gentleman at the Boys and Girls Club, the Boys Club, and he told you the words, hey, I love you, and just really start to pour, the people there started pouring everything into you. If you could take a minute with that Tony right there, pull him aside for 1 minute and just talk to him, what would you say to him right now?
I would say you can be anything you want to be, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of where you come from, regardless of the zip code that people may define you by, your neighborhood or your family, where you live. You can be anything you want to be. All you have to do is just apply yourself and put yourself around good people and make smart decisions. And I think that is the book of life. You know, if you around people who have high character, higher integrity, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have it. If you're around people who, you know, make poor decisions at an early age, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be like that. And that's that. If I could go back, I would say to that, Tony, have the confidence in knowing who you are and trusting that process.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Travelers, man, we heard from Tony today, and Tony, man, you blessed me. I mean, we've been having conversations for the longest about just that affirmation piece of a man to a boy or a man to a man, and just how much of a difference that makes in the trajectory of their life. We always talk about sacrifice and not always pursuing the bag, but pursuing purpose. And your life just really just spoke to both of those things. And like Marlon said, man, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for just what you're doing, the impact that you're making every single day, because of guys like you that's helping change the narrative for a lot of kids that are out there. And of course, man, we want to be a part of that as you're journeying. So please, however we can fit in that cycle, however we can fit in that journey, just, you know, we're here for it, man. But really want to thank you for everything.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And listen, when we get the date for 2022 for this celebrity basketball game, you know, I'll be sure to invite you guys and
appreciate it.
Love for you to come down and interview some of the people that participate, because amazing people who've done great things. And this thing is going to take all of us to turn around, you know, this time that we live in now. You know, anything I can do to ever help out, man, I will. But, you know, we'll love to have you guys in spring of 2022 once we get everything finalized.
Definitely.
Man, we love it, man. We'll be there.
And Rick, I want to ask, if somebody's here wants to reach out to you, and they definitely, you know, they want to either, I heard the awesome story of Josh and you, how you guys got the club locked on down in South Carolina. If any way they can reach out to you and you can help them out or whatever, or just even talk some affirmation into a young man, how could they reach out to you? What could they use? What medium could they use?
Sure. So my email is the best way to reach out to me. And that is my work email, and it's T as in Tony, O as in Oscar, RR at B as in boy, G as in girl, C as in Charlie, A as in apple.org. And that's TOR at Boys and Girls Clubs of America.org.
Yes, sir.
Love it. You guys heard it here. Well, Tony, man, we thank you again, and we appreciate you joining us on the Success Journey Show. For everyone, all of our listeners all over the world, we want to thank you for tuning in for another episode. Listen, don't forget, check out our website, The Success Journey Show, for all of our previous shows, all of our previous guests, learn a little bit more about them in their bios. You can see our journey wear. Marlon is modeling our sweatshirt. That's probably one of mine that you're supposed to give me, but he's been ordering all of them. But it's all good. It's all good. I'll get mine soon. But you see, I'm using it. I'm wearing this old dingy one right now. Now, I don't even have our logo on it. But but yeah, travelers, we'll catch you guys next week at the same time, same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.